Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stephen Breach coming to you here today. One of the names that Bret the Hitman Hart is thrown into contention for the WWE's Hall of Fame class of WrestleMania 35 would be the British Bulldog. The British Bulldog, honestly, is a guy that gets some notoriety when people are naming lists of people who need to be in the WWE Hall of Fame each and every year. Davey Boy Smith was a part of the British Bulldogs, one of the tag teams in the early days of the WWF. Him and the Dynamite Kid were some of the reasons why a lot of people took to classic WWF Saturday Night's main events, Wrestling Challenge, Wrestlemania. I don't think they were on Wrestlemania. I know they were on Wrestlemania 2, Wrestlemania 3. They had a lot of big tag team feuds. They were always sort of in the title contention of being one of the best teams in the company. But then, of course, when the fight went down between the Killer Bees and no, it wasn't the Killer Bees. It was the Rougeau brothers. When the Rougeau brothers were retired of all the tricks of Dynamite Kid, they knocked him out in catering with the roll of quarters rolled up in his fist, and that was the end of the British Bulldogs in the company. Of course, Davey Boy would sort of leave the company and then find a way to come back years down the road after wrestling at other places around the country, and he would come back, of course, when he would main event SummerSlam 1992 at Wembley Stadium, looked at as one of the biggest shows in WWF history, wrestling against Bret Hart. Even Bret in the Best There Is, Best There Was, Best There Ever Will Be DVD basically says he takes all the credit for the match, basically saying that Davey wasn't in the best health to be wrestling that day, but they found a way to have a perfect match to main event that show. And for the Intercontinental Championship, to main event a SummerSlam with a title match that is mostly widely forgotten by most people. Macho Man Randy Savage going up against the Ultimate Warrior. That honestly was a big deal. Davey Boy Smith is one of those guys that always carried the UK shows as one of those big names where people would come out to see him. We'd have to fast forward way down the road, but you go to that one night only event where it was the European title was put on the line against Shawn Michaels, and Davey Boy Smith even came out and said that he dedicated this match to his wife, who had just recently come down with cancer. Shawn Michaels, through the way of politicking, found a way to beat Davey Boy Smith in the UK, which was not widely done at that time. But when you look at it, Shawn Michaels, who did not need the European title at that point in his career, got the win because the quick rules and all that other jazz. When it comes down to it, Davey Boy Smith as a singles competitor outside of the British Bulldogs didn't really have the biggest career. He had jumped over when he had been fired from the WWF for using human growth hormone and sort of been like a main event guy for WCW, but wasn't really a big enough name to really make people change the channel. It was Sid and Davey Boy teaming up against Vader and what was the dang promo where they blew up the boat with the little midget guy? I can't remember, but Davey Boy would always find a place somehow in WWF. He came back as sort of the hardcore reinvented Davey Boy Smith, where he was wrestling in jeans during the Attitude Era. There was a point when he won the hardcore title from the Big Boss Man and just gave it away after winning it to Al Snow to sort of capitalize on the feud of them fighting over Pepper. Davey Boy, I don't think is a weak induction. He's not going to be like the Godfather, or he's not going to be looked at sort of like Coco Beware or anything like that. But I don't think he's high on the list, but I think he deserves to get a chance to go in there. I think that once you open that door of Davey Boy Smith going into the Hall of Fame, that's when you're going to open the conversation of why is Owen not in there. A video that we made last week talking about if Owen Hart was even able to go into the Hall of Fame. Owen was just recently inducted into the Hall of Fame in Waterloo, I believe is where it is, for the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. So let's see if we get his ticket punched to go to the Hall of Fame in WWE, even though it's not really real, just sort of a one-night deal. But I think that's going to be coming up sooner than later, so we'll see what goes on. They're not going to be making any inductions, so probably around, they'll start naming names around December, maybe even January, so we'll see what happens then.